And if you're not going to ride right away, a versatile lube, like Finish Line Dry Teflon Lube. You might also want to throw in a pair of gloves to keep your hands clean. The grunge brush has two ends. The head contains two side blocks of medium-length stiff bristles and a center block of short stiff bristles, all of which can be easily removed. The tail contains one block of longer, more flexible bristles, which is also removable, and which can be replaced with shorter, stiffer blocks for more aggressive cleaning. To clean your chain with the grunge brush, place it headfirst into your can, then pour enough multi-degreaser into the can to cover the head. When the brush blocks are wet, push the head of the grunge brush down onto your chain below the chainstay, while holding your crank with your other hand to steady it. Turn your crank backwards about 10 times, depending on how dirty your chain is, then pull down on the handle of the grunge brush so that the brush block that was on top of the chain is now on the side facing you, and turn the crank another 10 times. This ensures that all sides of the chain are fully cleaned. To remove the grunge brush from your chain, pull the handle back up so that the head is in its original position, then hold down your chain on either side of the grunge brush with one hand and pull the head off with the other. Wipe your chain down with a rag as necessary, and if you're not going to ride right away, make sure your chain is dry and free of degreaser, then spray it down with dry Teflon lube. The head of the grunge brush can also be used to clean chain rings, which are normally very hard to clean without removing the crank. Dip the head into multi-degreaser, then push it firmly onto your outer chainring. Rotate the crank backwards until you hit the crank arm, then forwards until you hit it again from the other side. Keep turning it backwards. You can use the grunge brush to clean your inner chain rings as well, but first you'll need to drop the chain. Shift into your smallest chainring and smallest cog, then push the bottom of the derailleur pulley cage forward with your thumb until the chain is slack. Keeping pressure on the cage with your thumb, lift the chain off of your inner chainring and let it rest on the bottom bracket shell. Once the chain is off, get under the bike or turn it upside down. Dip the tail end of the grunge brush in multi-degreaser, place it on your chainring, and turn the crank, ideally using the left crank arm. Remember to clean both sides of the ring. If it has really stubborn grime stuck to it, replace the long flexible brush block with a shorter, stiffer one, like we showed earlier. When it's clean, wipe off any dirty degreaser and residue with your rag. One time you won't want to replace the long brush block with a shorter, stiffer one is when you're cleaning the cog set. Dip the tail of your grunge brush into multi-degreaser, rest it on your cog set, and turn the crank backwards. The long, flexible bristles will reach into your cog set to clean the teeth as well as the spaces between the cogs. Move up and down your cog set until all of the cogs are clean, and when you're done, don't forget to shift the chain into another cog, so that you can clean the one that was covered by the chain. While you're working on the rear of the bike, it makes sense to clean your derailleur pulleys as well, beginning with the lower pulley. Dip the head of the grunge brush into multi-degreaser, then push it onto the pulley like you push it onto your outer chainring. Turn the crank backwards and the grunge brush will strip the grime off of the pulley. The top pulley is a bit trickier because you need to shift the derailleur so that the grunge brush will fit between it and the wheel without banging into the spokes. However, once you've done that, all you need to do is repeat the process you used to clean the lower pulley. If you're really obsessive, you can throw in a pair of gloves as well. Using your chain cleaner is as easy as it gets. First, pull back the spring clip and remove the lid, noting the fill line at the base of the chain cleaner. Pour degreaser into the body up to the fill line. It doesn't take much, so pour slowly. Overfilling might lead to degreaser dripping out of the chain cleaner during use. Then, shift your chain into the smaller middle chainring and one of the middle cogs. With the lid still off, use one hand to hold your chain cleaner under your chain, and use the other to place the lid over the chain and push it down into the body of the chain cleaner. Flip up the spring clip to secure the lid. Once the chain cleaner is locked on, grasp it firmly with one hand and turn the crank backwards with the other. The brushes, side scrubbers, and degreaser will do all the work, and the shape of the body will ensure that the chain is kept at the correct tension and will prevent spilling. When your chain is clean, flip down the spring clip, pull the body down and away from the chain, and slowly remove the lid so as to prevent dripping. Wipe your chain down with a rag to remove dirty degreaser and dry the chain out. Once it's dry and free of degreaser, apply lube, even if you're not going to ride right away. As we've already mentioned, Finish Line's versatile dry Teflon lube is a good choice because you can always apply another lube on top of it later if you decide to do so. Remove dirty degreaser from the chain cleaner by